Finally, with regards to the training course itself, just because you said something once doesn't mean to say that everybody has retained it. So, again, as the trainer, I like to think of you as being a facilitator or perhaps the host with regards to that training session. The best training courses are actually where the participants do all the work themselves because they're learning through discovery, they're learning from one another, they're feeding off your energy. Of course, they are. But in terms of them taking away those key learning objectives, you as the trainer need to keep reiterating, okay, so what does this journey entail? Where are we on it? And what should we have learnt so far? Checking back in because in case someone's missed something, you might need to recap on it. Now, if you need to do a recap, don't do it in exactly the same way as you did it the first time. Even if you know that that participant was fast asleep, or perhaps checking their emails, or feeding their children, or whatever the case might be, think of a different way in order to be able to share that message. Because other people around the room may have misunderstood that particular message the first time. So by exploring it in a slightly different way the second time around, then actually everybody gets to learn a little bit more. The final thing with that is that personally, I always make things up during a training course. I explore different ways of sharing information. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with that because you yourself are experimenting with how to impart this knowledge in a fun and an exciting way. And also, there is always something to learn from the participants in the room. I personally always walk away from a training course knowing more than I went in with. And I delight in learning from all those participants. So you need to be able to give them the space to teach you about their knowledge, their understanding, and their perceptions. Now, with regards to perceptions, in a training course, you are not there as the trainer to judge people within that room. It is not uncommon to have a group of participants who may have very, very different thoughts, feelings, perspectives, etc., with regards to different political events, religions, etc., around the world. Now, if you can create an environment in which people trust one another, then they will be more open to sharing their perspectives, which is fantastic in terms of people learning from one another. But sometimes people do bring case studies, perspectives into the room that others disagree with. Now, as the trainer or as the facilitator, it's up to you to work out, okay, how much do you allow the group to dive into that? Or at what point in time do you pull them out and you say, that's a really interesting perspective. I'd love to take that offline with you or take that into a separate discussion. But for today, we're going to get back on track. And this is what we're learning about. So sometimes you do need to derail that particular conversation, especially if you see that it might be offensive to some of those individuals in the room. Sometimes that contentious discussion can be great because then people will learn what it is that was being discussed at that particular point in time. But you don't really want to make people feel uncomfortable or perhaps really offended by what's being said. You want to maintain that culture of sharing within the virtual classroom or the live classroom, the in-person classroom. So this is something here where you as the trainer and the facilitator, again, need to be listening really, really carefully with regards to what is being shared and how it might be making different people feel around that particular classroom.